VRI is a force multiplier. What exactly that means, to explain it in simple terms, an interpreter who is physically in one location can serve a deaf person in Florida on one occasion, Texas on another, um, Nebraska on another occasion, Washington State, all within the same day in circumstances that legitimately needed an interpreter, and thereby not having to commute, something that would be physically impossible to all those locations within a given day. So you take that talent now, you've actually spread it all over the nation. So when I talk to people about our services, about the customer testimonials on our website, and they see that we have clients all over the nation, on the opposite sides of the nation, I emphasize this, that there is a national shortage of interpreters, and that VRI makes interpreters available in these places where services are needed, in courts, in classrooms, on job interviews, for presentations, for team meetings, for much, much more. It is a force multiplier. That's one of the things that excites me about VRI, is the ability to take this linguistic resource, this competency of language to interpret, and make it available anywhere the internet will reach. Nationwide, you have competent, responsible, diligent, deaf individuals, deaf professionals, who at one time or another cannot get hold of an interpreter for reasons totally beyond their control, and that is outrageous. VRI creates new opportunities to knock down these barriers. And for me, that's fantastically exciting, because it literally means removing thousands of communication barriers, effective communication barriers, immediately. That's what VRI as a force multiplier means to me. The challenges to VRI in the marketplace are something that are a concern as well. And I need to talk about this from two different perspectives. One is the call center perspective, and the other is the perspective of growing the profession. Now, as an interpreter, I found that VRI in a call center environment, in a team environment, is valuable, because in instances where support is needed, it enables immediate support when challenging calls come in, when challenging events take place in the VRI session, when you have a linguistic mismatch between the deaf person and the VI. And this happens from time to time. It also provides the assurance of knowing that in the event the zone of comfort and confidence of the VI is exceeded, on screen you have the ability to immediately put in another VI, make the session successful, fulfill the customer's needs. Thinking of one particular occasion, a VRI event where the interpreter was challenged by a regular VRI event that on the spot changed to become a legal VRI event. The interpreter there in the session was not comfortable to go forward with a legal event. But because we have a call center environment, we were able to replace them with someone who was qualified for the matter. It was done effectively, it was done successfully. And I find myself wondering in retrospect, how could that have worked in a SOHO, a home interpreting environment, where you have an interpreter in a home office that's been converted for VRI purposes? What would the remedy be there? Would there be an interpreter readily available that they could transition the event off to, who is of the appropriate skills and abilities? What would that mean for the deaf person? What would that mean for the organization needing the VRI service at that moment? A call center environment speaks to these needs effectively, allowing interpreters to get the support they need, get mutual feedback and encouragement that they need in order to make the VRI session effective, and if necessary, be replaced. The other perspective is this, and I have to go back a few years ago to the '04 Journal of Interpretation. Anna Whittier Meredith, and I believe it was Danielle Gordon who wrote the article. It's an article about marketplace disorder, where several issues presented in the article, those are issues I see appearing over and over again in the VRI landscape that are not being fully addressed. They impact traditional interpreting, they impact VRI. These are not necessarily technological issues, but legislative ones, and other issues that threaten the progress and stability of our profession as a whole, and specifically in the VRI arena. Honestly, these are issues that I think about a lot. These are issues that keep me awake at night. VRI from an international standpoint, I see how VRI is growing in our nation, and I think about the opportunities I've had to interact with representatives from other governments. For example, representatives came from the government of Belgium. We talked to them about VRI and what it would mean for their nation. I had a chance to, last year, speak to a representative from the Australian government who was the leader of VRI there and the challenges that they faced uniquely. We had a chance to talk extensively about the comparison and contrast between VRI and VRS and its implications there in Australia. Lastly, last year I had an opportunity to talk to a representative from NHS Scotland about VRI's power and potential there in the UK. The economics that make VRI sensible, that make it a smart bet, are the same economics that drive the need for quality of education, the need to lower the unemployment rate, the need to have effective transportation infrastructure, to have deaf people globally, the deaf community globally, engaged in the workforce. That requires them to have quality interpreting available to be provided in schools, in hospitals, in the work environment, in every circumstance where a member of the deaf community must interface with the government. So you must have effective communication provided. That's a challenge VRI can meet. Again, when VRI becomes a force multiplier in these circumstances, the deaf community can become self-sufficient, can become actively engaged in their national workforce as equals. And this is something I'm confident that VRI can and should open as far as opportunities, doors of opportunities for several nations, not just here in the United States. My closing comments, I would close with this one experience where I got a call from a person asking why they were getting so many discussions about VRI among their staff. We had an extended conversation about his staff, his team, his organization, and the point I made back to him was that this is happening so much because the link between him as an administrator and his team, for them to communicate how often they needed interpreters, was broken, and VRI was making that break obvious to him, so that they needed interpreters much more often than they thought. And I wonder how often that's happening, not just here in this country, but in other places, in other nations all over the world. It's something that VRI can expose, but also can resolve as well.